Okay.
Rio Grande Valley. About as far south as you can get in Texas.
This is the Bill Hines video.
Today I'm going to more or less revamp this entire video. We sell a rather startling number of these videos at this $10 price for a video that's long and informative, and the old master is just getting rather worn and fuzzy, so I think it's time to redo it. Certain parts of this video I will dub from previous videos onto the new master. Certain parts of particularly of the, well, not only the hog catching, but the man fighting and courage testing, because there's no sense in me going out and having the dogs all retested. The dogs that are on here being courage tested are still here, and really it's better to have shown them to you on their first test rather than on successive encounters. Actually, in these courage tests, we make no pretense whatever of showing you a trained dog anyway. This is simply a test to determine whether the dog has the nerve and the courage to make a decent breeder. No attempt whatever is made to tell you that these are trained dogs. As you can see, I try to breed them non-dog.
That's Country Boy.
Certain strains of this dog were raised for years as fighting dogs, and still are. But I prefer a non-dog aggressive dog because I think it makes a better watchdog. We'll get more into that later. But that's a nice thing to be able to show you right there. Before I really start the video, I think I should say to you knowledgeable bulldog people are going to have to understand that about 9 out of 10 people that will view this video know nothing whatever about a bulldog. And rather than have them suffer from a lot of misconceptions and wrong information from wrong people, why I think it's better that we take a little time and educate the dude. The breed is going to thrive like I hope it will, or somebody's going to have to educate the dude, and I think it's up to all of us good bulldog breeders to do the best we can to do this. Okay, dudes, basically, forebears of this dog were the old bull baiting dogs of England. This was a very cruel and bloody sport, hard on the bull and awful on the dogs, and the dogs that they used for this were bred to an extremely high pitch of courage and ferocity. Bull baiting, incidentally, was outlawed in 1833 in England, and at that time, dog fighting, however, was not. And they crossed this dog, the forebear of this present-day American bull, into the now extinct game white terrier, into that day's version of a Manchester and a couple of other game terriers, and from this beginning evolved the pit bulls. Frequently people have asked me whether American bulls have any pit bull in them. It's usually rather the other way around. The American bull was one of the forebears of the pit bull. There were certain people out in the Midwest that bred a lot of pit bull into their dogs. They were breeding strains of American bulls for dog fighting. We'll get into more of that in a minute. Basically, there are 3 primary strains of American bulldogs today, and many crosses and combinations and permutations of these strains, of course. First, I think we'll take the Johnson strain. Down in near Rome, Georgia, Mr. Johnson has been breeding bulldogs for a lot of years. This is the largest strain of bulldogs. It is not a strain that is to my taste at all. They're rather too large and clumsy to do the work that I want a bulldog to be able to do. I demand a much more athletic dog than this for my purposes. However, for the people who think that vigor is better and they want size above all things, well, that's where you can find it. Johnson, Georgia. Secondly, for a catchword, there is a Painter strain. Joe Painter and 50 other people like him did and do breed dogs in the Midwest. It started in Chicago, and Painter dogs, so-called Painter dogs, have been shipped all over the country. Now, one of the main purposes of this strain was for dog fighting. Various people got in trouble over this one time or another, but a lot of pit bull was bled into the strain in order to make them fight a dog better. They inbred for dog fighting purposes, and at one point there were people breeding that did not care if a dog would run from a man as if he'd fight a dog. They did not care if he set off a firecracker and he hit for the rest of the day if he'd fight a dog. They inbred them to the point where they got crooked jaws, they got dysplastic hips, they got inverted eyelids, they got a lot of trouble. At one time, the painter thing had just about gone down. It's been more or less resurrected now. There's 2 or 3 good people have outcrossed this painter strain back into the old original basic Scott blood that it originally came from before it was perverted down. And they've made a big improvement on these dogs. They've improved them in a rather great degree. They do, however, remain extremely dog aggressive. The third strain, the strain that I have chosen to specialize in, that I like, is the old-time Alan Scott dogs. This, once again, is a catchword. There's many people besides Alan Scott bred these dogs. Alan Scott was an old-time plantation man. He's long dead now. He was a man that had money enough to afford the things he liked, and he liked good bulldogs. He was also a man that didn't have a lot of patience with a dog that wouldn't perform. If a dog went out with Alan Scott 2 or 3 times and he wouldn't catch the cow or the hog, why, he wound up buried behind the chicken house. And, of course, it was kind of hard on the dogs, but after 50 generations of it, you start getting some pretty good dogs. It's extreme culling from survival of the fittest, you might say. If the dog's got no nerve, the old farmer will shoot him and bury him behind his chicken house. If he hasn't got any sense about how he does things, the hog is going to kill him. Another side benefit to this has been, at least for me, we've never had to replace one of our puppies out of the hog fighting strains of bitches for bad hips. Because once again, if a dog's a step slow, the hog's going to kill him. He don't have to be real dysplastic, he'll be dead. And these infirmities have been over the years more or less called out by selection of the fittest, inasmuch as this old mountaineer doesn't know about pleasure horses and pet dogs, and he doesn't understand about house dogs. He wants him to catch the hog, he wants him to watch the farm. These dogs were brought to America originally during colonization days, and they found use mostly in the southern states as a farm utility dog. And they are still being used as farm utility dogs in many of the more remote mountain enclaves in the south. They guard their house and their people and the livestock on that place from predators, both human and animal. And they're used to catch up the hogs. They're used to catch a bad cow. They're mostly catch dogs rather than herding type dogs, although I have known some of these dogs to herd cattle. But they're principally a catch dog. You are going to see them catching hogs. I've got a bitch on this place named Snowbird who has caught 500 bad hogs and she's caught 1. She was owned by a trophy hunting outfit who wasn't even interested in small hogs. If a hog wasn't big enough and bad enough to mount his head on the library wall, they weren't interested in hunting him anyway. And this bitch, every day she caught 4 and 5 of them. I would never in this world have been able to buy her. The man would never have parted with her, but she finally broke her teeth off, getting shook around too much with too many bad hogs, and the man doesn't breed, so I was able to buy the bitch, much to my gratification. But you're going to see this bitch working several bad hogs. I'm going to show you some general hog catching with other bitches, and I'm also going to show you 2 of Snowbird's daughters catching hogs. You're going to get quite a look at what a dog can get into with that. And I will say this at this time. I've had a couple of dog fighters tell me, says, Bill, we have no way like you had with this hog thing of testing our dogs. Fighting them against dogs is all we know and the only way we can test. And I'll say with all due respect to you guys is desire to have a good solid dog and a good courageous dog. It takes more guts to jump on one of these 400-pound hogs and shake and rattle with them than it does to get in a dog fight. You're going to see a couple of dogs get killed, and in neither case did it take 30 seconds for it to happen. This is a rough and dangerous game, and the dogs that survive at it are good, solid, courageous, athletic dogs, or they wouldn't stay alive. And this, once again, is the reason that I choose the Scott dogs to breed from. One more comment, and then I will get inside and start dubbing you in some hog fighting footage, one thing and another here. Into the sport of weight pulling. Now, I have nothing against weight pulling, and I'm sure it's quite a lot of entertainment and a good sport for the people that like it. But each of us has his priorities and his interests. Weight pulling doesn't happen to be one of mine. As I say, there's a meathead out in Colorado that thinks anybody whose dogs don't pull weight aren't any good. I don't take this view. I think that all these strains of dogs have some use or other that still wouldn't be in existence. But somebody likes each one of them for his attributes. I don't choose to breed weight pulling dogs because to my mind, in order to do this, I should breed a very thick animal that compared like a draft horse would to a racehorse. And I like the racehorse better. If I was given a choice of being an Olympic gymnast or a weightlifter, you'd find me being a gymnast or a diver every time. I like the athlete. I would consider it an absolute insult to put a fighting lady like Snowbird. I would as soon hook a thoroughbred to a plow as to put Snowbird to pull a weight. That's a fighting lady. She doesn't deserve an insult like that. So, no reflection, as opposed to the man in Colorado. I am not reflecting against the weight pullers. Just don't ask me to breed your weight pulling dog. Go to him. I thank you, knowledgeable people, for bearing with me. I may make another comment or two. Old men are jealous, and I may make another comment or two before I'm done. But for right now, I'm going in and I want to show you some hog work with Snowbird working in. Maybe I'll go down and show you Snowbird as she is right now first, and then we'll go in and do that. Hey, little Snowbird, you run like Darling? You are. You run like Darling, yes. You're like a good girl. This is Snowbird. She's 4.5 years old now, and she's not so slim and fit as you're going to see her in the video when she was catching the hogs. She's retired from this kind of business. As I say, her fangs are broken off. As you can see, she's not dog nasty either. She's showing a little bit of pregnancy at the moment. This bitch you're going to see doing some real rough hog work. This is a very well-bred Scott bitch. One of the best catch dogs you'll ever watch work in your life. She was featured in a fellow named Bob Stevens did a video on hog catching. And he featured her, and he said that this is probably the best catch dog in America. I wouldn't know if I'd go that far, but I don't know where there is a better one. I will say that. Now we'll go and show you what the lady can do.
Miami Vice. These videos are taken at Dorsey's 15 some odd years ago, and their boss hog and the dog he called Flash is the dog he's talking about, called Ladybird. There's absolutely no Alan Scott blood in these dogs. These are just White English, North Carolina bulldogs, bred for catch work and pets. That's it. Also, if you haven't figured out, Alan Scott did not die. He wasn't dead, and he's not a plantation man, and I don't know. These dogs are plot hounds. They're just bay dogs that are just supposed to bay the hog and keep it from running. I don't know if that's Flash or